Listen, okay? I know I said I wasn't going to do this again, but I just can't seem to help myself. Hey guys, it's Quana back again with another Her Real review. Hope you guys are doing awesome. So you can see by the thumbnail why we're here. Tyler Perry has dropped a new project out on Netflix. It's entitled Straw. It stars Taraji P. Henson, Sherry Shepherd, and Tiana Taylor. And I know that I said I wasn't going to really review too many more Tyler Perry projects, but I couldn't help myself. I mean, it's got Taraji in it, and it's got Tiana Taylor off of, her acclaimed film that she did last year. And so I just wanted to see what it was giving. And also, when he dropped 688, it wasn't a bad movie. It just needed more. And that seems to be the thing with all of Tyler Perry's projects. So I'm going to give you guys a non-spoiler review, but listen, I'm going to then go in. And so the first 3 minutes of this video, you can watch it and then go watch the movie. But if you've watched the movie and you want to know my true nitty-gritty thoughts, I'm going to go in. I promise you this. But basically, the tagline for this movie is you never know what someone is going through. This is a movie about a single mother who navigates a series of unfortunate events, leading her down an unforeseen path where she becomes embroiled in a situation she never envisioned, finding herself at the center of suspicion in an indifferent world. That is what is up on Google, okay? The movie is about Taraji P. Henson, who's playing a single mom who is having the worst day of her life and ends up accidentally being a suspect in an armed robbery. And so it's kind of giving John Q, kind of giving Set It Off. And listen, Taraji is channeling her best, I had to walk like a dog every day. Like her best Hidden Figures, downtrodden woman acting performance in this movie. I will give her that. Sherry Shepherd is channeling her most benevolent auntie spirit, Sherry Shepherd show realness, but she literally could have been replaced with any woman. And it's so sad because we're at the point now where, I really felt like if he wanted to up the ante a little bit, he could have gotten Octavia Spencer. I'm not going to even tell the lie that I love Sherry, because listen, I don't like anybody who want to talk down about Megan Thee Stallion in these streets post-Tory lanes of it all. No. So me and Sherry ain't cool like that. But she's also just not a great dramatic actress. I would have gone with someone stronger. Tiana Taylor was not bad in this, and she often gives uneven performances. She was very believable, very compassionate in this role. Unfortunately, she's working with a script where Tyler Perry is not doing a lot of research. And so she's playing a cop, she's playing a detective. And a lot of the police lingo just feels like it's written by somebody who is imagining what police would say instead of actually doing some research and writing down like real procedural type of language. And so it just feels very uneven. Like, I'm pretty sure that you could have hired a consultant, like a former female police officer, to consult on this, but it just felt very uneven. Sinbad is in this. Okay, kudos to him for giving Sinbad a role and a performance. My boy has been through a lot. He's had some strokes. He's, his health-wise has been up and down. It's good to see him in a performance. I love Sinbad, absolutely. Sinbad gave us one of the best movies, okay, in Cherokee Kid, Fight Your Mama. And if you've never seen it, watch it. And then you had Rockman Dunbar, who has played everything from oh my gosh, what was his name in the game? I can't think of his name in the game. Somebody remind me in the comments. But I know he played Angela Bassett's husband in 911 before it came over to ABC and before she got with Peter. It has got Clint Herman in it, and he's cussing up a storm and being a horrible person, a horrible human being. When do we want to see Colonel Gaines being a horrible human being? But nice little reunion of Colonel Gaines and Sinbad's character, together again or whatever. But yeah, so acting, listen, the writing is not good. It feels, there's a lot of heavy monologuing. The dialogue feels very uneven. And even when people are trying to be, personable or kind to the main character, it doesn't feel like how people would actually talk. Like how you would talk to somebody. Like it just doesn't feel realistic. The dialogue is just not great. Okay, now a lot of people are going to like this movie because people like movies that feel like you're going to have an emotional upswing. You're going to have like an inspirational or like a this is us fighting together camaraderie kind of film. But the thing about Tyler Perry and his writing and his directing is he hasn't mastered the art of feeding your audience different things. It's like trying to feed a kid vegetables. If the kid doesn't like vegetables, you can't just only give them vegetables. You have to give them different types of things so they can make it through the meal. You might say, okay, here, you like mashed potatoes? Eat this mashed potato. Now eat this piece of broccoli. Here's some more mashed potatoes. Here's another piece of broccoli. And a great example of a movie that does this is something like Pursuit of Happiness, where we see Will Smith's character, Chris Gardner, go through a series of like lots of down slopes and some momentous moments, and it's like a crescendo of up and down until you get the payoff at the end. This movie felt like exhausting. I felt like I ran a literal marathon after watching this movie. Like, it starts bad and it ends bad. There is just no hope, no goodness in this movie. And I get it. That can be the reality of people's lives, but it does just feel like, come on. Like, we don't ever get a break. We don't ever get to see this character get a win or a glimmer, a sliver of a silver lining at the end of it. Even like a cutscene at the end that kind of hints at a better moment or time would be welcomed in this movie. So yeah, there wasn't anything memorable. Kudos to him for getting that gorilla track in the beginning. Okay, the 2 seconds we heard of that. So there's not really a lot that I can talk about that really worked here. Again, it's Taraji doing what Taraji does when she's in movies like this, which is very heavy-handed with the acting. It's not bad, but it does feel like you see the effort. You see the weight of it all. I worry about her mental health when she does films like this. I worry that Tyler doesn't have somebody on standby who can help his actors get through these types of roles, because this was heavy. I would have needed to unpack with a therapist at the end of this. I'm not going to hold you. So it wasn't the worst Tyler Perry movie ever at all, but I literally do feel like you can tell that this movie was made in like 4 days. Like, there's 4 locations and they spent 1 day at each location, and you cannot convince me otherwise. I really wish he would not just give the actors these big payoffs, but work on making art that is both meaningful and that can bring the community together. Like, if you claim that you're making films for Black people, why do we always have to bond under sadness and hard times? I saw someone in the comments of the trailer say, oh my gosh, this was the best movie ever. And I'm like, you haven't seen Sinners. Like, the best movie this year? Stop your lying. Definitely not. I would definitely give this movie a C-. And literally, it is just off of the strength of Taraji and Tiana, nothing else, because otherwise it would be much lower than that. It's passable at best. It does feel very much like AI written, and that's unfortunate. So that is my like non-spoiler review of the movie. It went longer than 3 minutes, but if you got this far and you don't want to see any more, hear any more, because you don't want spoilers, then just hit the subscribe button, give me a follow. I will talk about more movies like this, try to deconstruct them, or give you guys reviews from a film critic / literature teacher perspective. And yeah, just get in the comments and let me know what you think. But I'm gonna go into the spoilers now, because this was a lot, right? Like, you start out this movie and of course everyone's referencing John Q. And what I remembered about John Q, which stars Denzel Washington, Kimberly Elise, and if I'm not mistaken was directed by John Singleton. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong about that. But it starts with you getting to know this family, and you get to see them at a baseball game for their son. It's a happy, joyful moment before everything goes bad. Why couldn't we meet Jania's character before things were bad? We get a small scene where she's got her baby in the bathtub and she's washing the baby, but even that is shrouded with the baby's illness and sickness. Like, why couldn't we see a happy moment with them? Why couldn't we get the scene of her actually building the little device? Because we still don't even know what the device was supposed to be. Not for real. Why couldn't we get that before everything went bad? Of course, the reveal at the end, we know why it starts there, but why couldn't we get a flashback of that? Or some flashbacks of happier moments to kind of like lighten the mood. Also, the flashbacks would have helped to ground us in our relationship with this character and with her daughter, who we're rooting for the whole entire movie. And then you've got her going straight to work, and you've got the problems with she's being evicted from her apartment, and she's going to work, and the boss is cussing her out, and all the people in the whole entire store are going off on her and going off in the store for being open and not having enough people who are there. Like, no, just no. I've never seen that a day in my life. I've been in a lot of hood stores before, been in a lot of hood Piggly Wigglies. Like, no, not seeing anything ever get that bad before. And then she's getting called from the kids' school, and then of course everything happens, and it's like it literally is like, it felt like AI, John Q plus a little set it off. So we have the robber seeing her name badge, calling her name, and now he's gonna say, "Oh, you set this up, you knew him. You just saw this girl got smacked in the face with a gun. Why would you think, oh, you're helping?" That wasn't even remotely believable in that moment. And so again, it's just like adding these pieces in that don't even make logical sense. Then she gets to the bank, and I get it. The bank teller, Tessa, reacts negatively because she sees the gun. She thinks she's being robbed. She's not like clearly thinking, she's scared. But then as the day progresses, she's literally one of the worst people we've ever met in human experience, because as she's hearing this woman unpack her story, everyone else is being sympathetic but her. There's nothing to indicate why this woman wouldn't feel some sympathy in hearing everything that this woman has gone through in the course of this day. Like, she needed to go. Like, at some point, yeah, just get rid of her or shoot her or something, because like, she was a horrible human being. And then it was just like this comedy of errors, that things just kept getting worse. Them thinking that the little device was a bomb, because hello, it does look like a bomb. If not bomb shaped, then why? If not bomb, why bomb shaped? Right? So again, that goes back to, what was the device supposed to be? And why was this woman, Taraji is 54 years old. And I get it. I'm not going to say Taraji does not look good for her age. She absolutely does. For context, I will be 43 this year. Never said my age out loud on this channel before. Y'all better save this video and like it, because I've never said that before. And listen, she had no makeup on in this movie. At best, Taraji looks like she's in her 40s, right? And so, just realistically, I'm not saying people can't have bad trodden lives, but to our knowledge, she didn't have any other kids. The character in this movie, and yet she has this little girl who's like 8 years old. Women, by and large, do not get that far in life without having had a kid and without some reason for how she's ended up this way. She mentions briefly going back to nursing school, but it's giving the description of the dialogue of someone who had a kid at a young age, or maybe she was trapped in an abusive relationship, but she at some point was in nursing school, left nursing school to take care of her kid. But how did she get to be the age that she was? There was at least 12 to 14 years post high school where she could have gotten some skills, but we don't know why she didn't. And I'm not saying it can't happen, but that's where we need character development, character backstory. We don't have any of this. It really feels like very generic. So that's one of the things I kept thinking the whole time was, how did she get to be 40 something years old with an 8-year-old? So she obviously didn't have that kid until her late 30s. What was going on in her life prior to that? Why is she staying in the projects, in this beat down? It's not projects for real, but this beat down apartment. Like, what was going on with her life for the 15 years before she had this baby. It just doesn't make sense. And that's why it does matter sometimes who you cast and the age of the person that you cast, because it would make sense. It would make sense to say that Tiana Taylor, who is 34 years old, and even at 34, if she had an 8-year-old daughter, she still had that kid at 26, which is still reasonably old enough to have established some type of career. But if you had never gone to school and you had waited to have a kid, or you were in an abusive relationship and there would be maybe some rationale for that. It just wasn't. I wasn't buying it. It just wasn't believable to me. Then you have, of course, every white guy or every white person in the movie was bad except for the one cop who was kind of supporting Tiana, and Rockman Dunbar, because he's not going to let himself be a bad person. So he's kind of a good guy. He has been bad people before, but he wasn't in this. What's his name? Chauncey? Was that his name in the game? Because it's not going to show me. It's going to make me not see the game. But maybe Chauncey. Let me know if I'm right. Okay, sure, but like it just wasn't. It was a lot. And then let's talk about the twist. So the twist, of course, is that none of this stuff happened the way that it was shown on screen, because the daughter died at the hospital. She had a seizure and she died at the hospital. Did the school know that? Did someone notify the school? It seemed like the teacher was crying like she knew. So then nobody goes and says, let me get somebody to help you, get a counselor or somebody that kind of talk to her. Like, okay, I get that the scene with CPS was in her mind, but like the way that stuff played out, like, so did the girl at the grocery store know? Because it seemed like she didn't know. It just was mind-boggling to me. Okay, I can get that maybe nobody knew, but like her mama, who said she died last night, and the mama seemed to know, and she was saying the mama was crazy. I'm assuming she's saying the mama and the sister are crazy because they tried to tell her daughter died, and she's thinking that they're tripped out, so now they're crazy. So we don't even know, was she really just not getting help? Because that just puts a cloud over everything. Was she really all alone? Because the mom was kind of calm on the phone talking to her about the daughter being dead. So when that reveal happens, like that way it plays out just doesn't fit the rest of the movie. And then of course they do manage to get her to surrender without her getting killed, thank God, because there's a whole montage of her visualizing the SWAT team coming in and shooting her, and I guess maybe like the green nighttime scope lights was supposed to be our indicator because they weren't red. I don't know, but that was not true. But why did we need to see that? Like, at this point now, we just learned that this girl's baby is dead and been dead the whole movie. We're barely recovered from finding that out when we see her get shot. Why did we, the audience, need to go through all of that? It was bad enough, and it is bad enough that her baby is dead, because when you're a parent and it's very clear that her daughter is her whole life, there's no happy ending. Okay, she manages to get out without being dead. Her baby's dead. Unless they manage to not press charges, which I'm sure that they will still press charges because there's still the dead grocery store manager that she killed. Like, make that make sense. Make that make sense. So it's still a horrible ending. So now the realistic ending, she's arrested. She's going to go to jail, likely for life. It's Georgia, so last I checked, Georgia might still be, a death penalty state. That's bad enough. But now you've killed her baby. That's bad enough. Why did we, the audience, need to witness her be shot? I don't think that was needed at all. Because at that point, if she wants to forfeit her life anyway, why would that be the thing that could convince her to stand down? I don't think that would be the thing that convinces her. What would convince her is her that act of kindness that she got, and knowing that she was going to have people in her corner, and knowing that people were going to support her. But at the end of the day, the law is still the law. I don't care what people outside are chanting and saying free Janiyah. At the end of the day, if people are dead, people are dead. And she might not have intended to rob a bank. So I don't know if there's such thing as a first degree or second degree, larceny felony or whatever. But even if it's first or second, it's still a felony. Like, just make it all make sense. How that was a better ending. It wasn't. So honestly, we could have gone from her finding out that the daughter had died, then her kind of having this moment of catharsis of like, you know, my baby, and kind of giving up. And then not even her coming out, but maybe Tiana Taylor's character coming in and them embracing her. And we still know that she's going to be arrested, but those two women embracing her in that way. We didn't need to see Taraji get shot. I never need to see that. I never need to see that. Nope. You're not going to convince me otherwise. So those are just my general thoughts about this movie. It was trauma porn. I don't care. I don't care if you liked it. Okay, people like Precious, but Precious had moments of like catharsis. Every time Precious had those daydream visions of that light-skinned man that she was in love with, or Precious had Lenny Kravitz. You got Lenny Kravitz smiling at me after I done pushed the baby. That was lightening up. There were moments that lightened up the tension, and this just felt like there was no lightening of the tension. I get that people's lives are really hard, but people also go to the cinema to get relief from their day-to-day. And unless you're doing a documentary, or unless at the end of it you are doing something to help people in real life situations, Tyler Perry, something that we can contribute to or something, I don't want to see this kind of thing played out on TV without any relief. I don't. So this was a step back for me in what I thought was a decent kind of swivel. But I really feel like he's saying, hey, here, y'all, I gave y'all something good with 688. Y'all still wanted to talk China. Here, just take it, and just kind of threw it in our faces and said, hey, or whatever. But please let me know what y'all thought about the movie in the comments. Don't come for me too hard. It is just my opinion, okay? As B Avery would say, it is just my opinion. But I do think that, Tyler Perry, listen, hey, if you watch the end of this, if nothing else, like, can we get a non-romantic comedy, non-struggle love romance? We are begging people who have wealth and money and power and positions of authority in the film industry to give us Black love on screen. Could you do that? Or finance somebody who wants to do that? Please and thank you. Those are my thoughts on Tyler Perry's Straw. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. Toodles.